Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen and a state of the game for the current Alpha 3.1.3 live build. The current build is probably one of the best I've ever played, if not the best. It's still very much an alpha, but there's a lot working now, and it's very much more accessible. It's the most fun I've had with Star Citizen for prolonged periods of time since 2.6.3. It's easy to get into a game with your friends now. You can invite them or just join other sessions if there's room. Missions-wise, most of the missions that were supposed to be in 3.0 and 3.1 are now in and accessible via the mobiGlas and are much less likely to bug out in some form or to not be completable in some way. It's actually a large amount of gameplay there that's now available, from searching wrecks of ships to fetch quests to patrols, investigation, and then obviously there's all of the combat beacons, service beacon stuff, which I'll talk about in a second. There's a reasonable amount of gameplay there. Very occasionally, I've seen it where there are no missions available at all. I think this is just a bug, but they do reappear after a while, or you can just jump into another server. But we have player service beacons for distress now. Typically, these are help, I'm being attacked, or pick me up from here. Though you can get more interesting gameplay ones from players in servers sometimes, where they want you to do weird stuff and they talk to you in chat, or it might be a player trying to trap you, and you can figure out some cool little ones with your friends when you're flying around the verse. It's then quite easy to go and find someone because it drops a waypoint there. That kind of accessibility to going, hey, I'm here, is great. It's very basic at the moment though, but it's quite interesting. Combat-wise, I'm seeing the higher-tier dogfighters like the Sabre and Super Hornet and stuff really wreck things in the PEU. It's kind of easy mode in the Sabre is the way I describe it when it comes to combat. Some of the lower armed ships might have a hard time PvE, and especially in PvP. But pirate hunting, PvE, is much more widely done now. There's rewards and stuff basically for doing those missions. Probably as they are less likely to break the server as well, those missions being available in the first place. Quantum interdiction will require you to kill a specific ship before you can get back into quantum travel. Another reason to use service beacons to ask for help. PvP combat is better than it was before in the persistent universe like 3.0. But it's got a long way to go. Mostly I see people destroying ships when players are out of them, or players just running away in a PU fight. Persistence wise, there is greater persistence coming with each of these patches, it seems. So I haven't been able to change my spawn location to any of the other major locations. I can't actually do that for some reason. I always spawn in Port Olisar at the moment. But when I simulate a crash, like pressing Alt F4 or closing the program, I'm able to spawn right back on my ship where I left off. This makes testing a million times less infuriating, so that you don't have to worry about a crash, about losing your ship or your cargo, or the progress in your session. You're able to jump straight back in where you were with your friends or with your ship, whatever. In the short term, however, I would really like the ability to choose when I spawn, even if it's at the beginning of a server, or even if it's just if I die, where I spawn major landing zone wise. So I die, let me respawn. A choice of Grimhex or Port Olisar or Levski or whatever, or even maybe at the bed in my ship. That would be really awesome. Obviously short term, but for testing, great idea, I think. Performance-wise, not much has changed really over the last couple of 3.1.x patches. I'm never really below 28 frames, and normally in the region of 30 to 40 frames. However, frames might have normalised slightly upwards. We still have occasional minor stutters and hitching. It's bearable. It's probably the most annoying thing in 3.1.3 though. This is something that will happen when servers have been for a while, it seems, or when there's lots of players spawning and interacting with things. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's still relatively common. My RAM is getting nommed up still, although they have made some steps to be less RAM hungry as a game, but I still close Chrome. Star Citizen isn't really accessible to systems with less than 16 gigs of RAM and older GPUs and CPUs over like 3 generations old, typically, and like a ballpark. The joy of this patch really for me is performance with stability. Server degradation seems to not happen on as many servers, or maybe it happens but over a much longer period of time. I've had 6-hour play sessions without any crash at all and without my frame rate dropping below 28. But if someone told me I was going to be able to play Star Citizen over a weekend without it crashing a couple of weeks ago, I would have called them a liar. However, it is now possible, which is pretty good. I'm very glad they're putting these patches out. There are some major issues for me, definitely, and I'm sure lots of other people as well. With the combat, the ESP is still broken. It's a bit different now, like it pulls you into aiming rather than assisting, so you'll be hovering near a target and it will kind of pull your aim in to the target rather than normalising stuff so you don't overshoot or undershoot. This is not necessarily what you want it to do, and it actually adds to you having less precision. Your ship is less controllable and more wobbly because of that ESP. Potentially it's better than it was for some people, maybe not. But IFCS is also not the best at the moment, which is basically the flight model when it's crunching numbers with what your thrusters should be doing for your ships, meaning your ship isn't as controllable and responsive as it should be. These are set to be fixed in 3.2 coming in June, though. In fact, I believe it is already working in the dev build that CIG have. Sometimes on the HUD and Mobiglass as well, there are little bugs where you'll lose targets or waypoints or things won't set properly, but a lot less infuriating than it has been previously. You can test some of the new weapons by grabbing donor ships, like renting a 300i and taking its size 3 Omnisky 9s. But other than that, there's no way of getting or testing the new weapons in 3.1 currently. There are also very few reasons at the moment to be an outlaw, as in they don't give you any real benefits. Stealing cargo is time consuming and you could be earning a lot more for UEC doing missions or legit cargo runs. Outlaws and pirate gameplay kind of needs reasons to entice players and to get them interacting with NPCs and other players. Again, this is coming later. But some ships are not suitable for combat in 3.1.3, and a solid weapon balance pass is really needed. However, 3.2 and 3.3 should be pushing for those weapon passes. And I was talking about accessibility earlier. 3.1 really was supposed to be about accessibility to content and travelling the verse. The Mobiglass and Star Map are now much more reliable and actually assist you when you're trying to set locations and travel to things and use the apps rather than working against you. In general, gameplay loops are there. You can spawn a ship, get to it, choose a mission, do it, and then go to repair and rearm. And you can do that consistently with odd issues and ships bugging out happening much less. Crashes, performance issues, they're much less likely to happen compared to what they were. Star Marine and Marina Commander are both very enjoyable and have players playing them, at the moment at least anyway, probably because of these spate of patches as well, but they are actually pretty fun. When comparing 3.1.3 to the state of 3.0 when it was released, it's a fantastic improvement in content, stability, and playability. There are things that still need improvement 100% with the current core and gameplay loops, performance, IFCS, ESP, core flight, core combat. They could all do with improvements, definitely. Gameplay loops are fun, but limited at the moment. Hooks to play are missing, like being able to buy ships and weapons with Alpha UEC, or just more of a reason to interact with players, both as friends, groups, orgs, PvP. I want to get that friction between players. I want reasons to interact with them. I want to not know what's going to happen when I see certain groups of players, but I don't want it just to be always a fight. I want it sometimes that, oh, we are actually working together, or oh, I can help you in this situation, or service beacons to be used to call in help, and there needs to be lots of reasons for players interact is what I'm saying. However, this is exactly what is being promised this year. Pretty much all of those issues will be being addressed in various patches, a good chunk of that coming in 3.2 in June. It's still not a sit down and play game yet, Star Citizen. It's alpha for a reason. It needs a lot of work and testing and lots more gameplay features tech. Realistically, I think it's just over 2 years for some form of beta, and then it will be in a very playable state. We are likely to have a 3.1.4 live build pretty soon, even potentially by the end of this weekend, with some more fixes and improvements. As with all those patches, whether you're getting this one or the next one, or whenever you jump into Star Citizen, if you had a previous install, then make sure you delete your user folder. I've got some performance guides linked below as well. Obviously, if you've got control mappings before you delete your user folder, copy your control mappings over. Also, Alpha UEC and Alpha UEC purchases will be reset every patch, even the little ones, so even the 3.1.4, 3.1.5 patches, that sort of stuff. In the short term, they're always going to see those databases wiped. But tell me of your experiences with 3.1.3. Are you having as much joy and love of it as I am? I genuinely think it is better than 2.6.3, and it's certainly the best patch I've played since that. 2.6.3 had some awesome stuff in it, but it was got a bit samey after a while. This has got a lot more of that core tech and skeleton of the game. It's very exciting now, and we're starting to see that game all come together. But tell me what you think down below. Every month we have a giveaway for Star Citizen. For this April, it's a massive salvage ship, the Aegis Reclaimer, provided by our featured app, MyRadar. MyRadar is a free weather app that also includes full-scale maps of the 3 moons of Crusader, including Yela, Selen, and Daymar. Users can scroll around the interactive maps and zoom in to the landscape to see the geography of those moons. MyRadar is available in the US, Europe, Japan, South Korea, and coming this summer to Australia. It is a real-life weather app as well, so you can see the weather in your general area and in those countries too. It's available on iOS, Android, and Windows. Please check it out in the links below if you are interested. But to be in for a chance of that Reclaimer, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos throughout April. Each video gives you another chance to win. Do you have any questions about Star Citizen, its development, gameplay mechanics, suggestions for videos, whatever? Chuck them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you're interested in becoming one of them, please find the links to Patreon as well as everything else was discussed down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.